Ravi always believed life was like a long road with heavy stones. Some people walked on smooth paths. Others, like him, had to push through dust, heat, and endless turns. He did not complain much. He just kept moving. He lived in a small rented room near the back of the market street. The room had one window, one fan that made loud noise, and walls that showed old watermarks. At night, Ravi's 2 children slept on thin mattresses, and Meena folded their clothes neatly in a metal trunk. Ravi and Meena shared a corner of the room with a small stove and 2 plates. They made the most of what they had. Ravi worked 2 jobs. In the morning he loaded boxes in a warehouse. In the evening he delivered packages on an old bike. His back often hurt, and his hands were always rough. He still smiled at his children when they asked for stories. He still asked Meena how her day went. He still said, "It will be better," even when he had no proof. One afternoon, while Ravi was packing deliveries, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Hello," Ravi said. A formal voice replied, "Is this Mr. Ravi Kumar?" "Yes." "This is Advocate Sen's office. You are requested to come tomorrow at 10 in the morning regarding a legal matter connected to Mr. Harish Kumar." Ravi paused. The name felt distant, like a chapter from a book he had not opened in years. Harish Kumar was his uncle, his father's elder brother. Ravi had met him only a few times as a child. Harish lived far away. People said he was strange and private. He had no wife, no children, and he rarely visited family events. When Ravi became an adult, the contact became almost nothing. Ravi cleared his throat. What happened to him? The voice stayed calm. "Mr. Harish passed away. You are listed in his documents. Please come with your identification." The call ended. Ravi stood still for a moment, holding a sealed package in his hand. A coworker asked, "You okay?" Ravi nodded slowly, but his thoughts were already racing. That night, he told Meena. She sat quietly, listening as he explained the call. "Your uncle died," she said softly. Ravi nodded. "They want me to go to a lawyer's office." Meena looked worried. "Maybe they need something. Maybe some signatures." Ravi shrugged. "I do not know. I barely knew him." Meena poured tea into 2 cups. "Do you think there is any chance he left something for you?" Ravi gave a tired smile. "If he did, it will be old clothes or a broken chair." Meena did not laugh. She watched him carefully. She knew how often life disappointed him. She also knew how much hope could hurt when it arrived without warning. The next morning, Ravi took time off from the warehouse. He wore his cleanest shirt, though the collar was slightly faded. Meena insisted he take a small folder for documents. Ravi placed his ID card inside and left early. The lawyer's office was in a building that looked new. The glass doors were clean. The air inside smelled like polish and paper. Ravi felt out of place among the shiny floors and quiet walls. At the reception, a woman asked his name. When he told her, she nodded and pointed to a waiting area. Ravi sat down. A few minutes later, he noticed familiar voices across the room. He turned his head and saw his relatives. There was Ajay, his cousin, wearing a bright watch and smiling as if he owned the place. There was Nisha, another cousin, dressed in a clean outfit and checking her phone again and again. Ravi also saw Meena's sister's husband, Seema, who always spoke loudly at family gatherings. Seema noticed Ravi and raised his eyebrows. "Well, well," Seema said with a grin. "Ravi is here too." Ajay laughed. "Of course he is. Everyone wants a piece when someone dies." Ravi stood up politely. "I did not know you all were coming." Nisha smiled in a sharp way. "We got the call too. Uncle Harish had property, you know. It is not small." Ravi felt a strange pressure in his chest. Property. The word sounded heavy. Seema leaned closer, lowering his voice but not enough to be respectful. "Listen, Ravi. We know you struggle. But do not get big ideas. Uncle Harish was close to Ajay's father. He will leave most things to them." Ajay nodded with confidence. "Yes. That old man always respected our side." Ravi wanted to reply, but he did not. He knew arguing would change nothing. He also knew their words could be wrong. People who talked too much often acted like they already won, even before the truth arrived. A clerk opened a door and called their names. They followed him into a meeting room. Advocate Sen was a thin man with calm eyes. He greeted everyone and asked them to sit. A file lay on the table, thick and old. A sealed envelope sat beside it. The relatives leaned forward, eager. Advocate Sen began in a steady voice. Mr. Harish Kumar passed away peacefully. He left a will. I will read it now. The room went quiet. Ravi sat with his hands on his knees. His heart beat slowly but firmly. He did not know what to expect. The lawyer opened the will and started reading. Some items were small. A few personal belongings were named. A donation to a local library. A small amount to a caretaker. Then the lawyer reached a part that made the relatives sit straighter. The primary property, Advocate Sen read, is an estate located on Hill Road, known as the Kumar Mansion. Ajay's eyes lit up. Saima's smile widened. Advocate Sen continued, this property, including the land and the structure, is left to Mr. Ravi Kumar as the sole legal heir. For 1 second, the room was silent, as if the air froze. Then laughter exploded. Saima slapped the table lightly. No, no, no. That cannot be right. Ajay burst out laughing. Ravi gets the mansion, what a joke. Nisha covered her mouth, pretending to be shocked, but her eyes were amused. The Hill Road mansion is ruined. It has been empty for years. Ravi did not laugh. He just looked at the lawyer, trying to understand if it was real. Advocate Sen remained calm. It is clearly written. Mr. Ravi is the heir. The property is transferred to him. Saima leaned back, shaking his head. That place is a disaster. The roof is broken. The walls are cracked. There are weeds everywhere. Even the gate is rusted. Ajay smirked at Ravi. Congratulations. You inherited a problem. Ravi swallowed. His face stayed neutral, but he felt their words hitting him like stones. Not because he believed them, but because he had heard similar laughter his whole life. People laughed when he dreamed of something bigger. People laughed when he spoke softly, when he dressed simply, when he did not show off. Advocate Sen tapped the papers. Please sign here, Mr. Ravi. Ravi reached for the pen. His hand did not shake. He signed slowly and neatly. Saima laughed again. He is signing like he won the lottery. Ajay whispered to Nisha, loud enough for Ravi to hear. He will sell it for nothing. He will take a small amount and think he became rich. Ravi stood up, took the documents, and nodded to Advocate Sen. Thank you. No angry words came out of his mouth. No argument. No insult. He simply walked away. Outside the office, Ravi took a deep breath. The noise inside felt far now. He called Meena. I have the property papers, Ravi said. Meena's voice sounded tense. What property? The mansion. There was a pause. The mansion on Hill Road. Yes. Meena spoke carefully. People say it is ruined. Ravi exhaled. Yes, they laughed a lot. But it is still ours now. Meena stayed quiet. Then she said, what will you do? Ravi looked at the road in front of him. People walked past, busy with their own lives. Cars moved in lines. The city did not care about his inheritance. I will go see it, he said. Today. Meena hesitated. Be careful. Take someone with you. Ravi nodded even though she could not see him. I will be careful. He borrowed a small amount from a friend for travel and took a bus toward the hill area. The city slowly changed as he moved away from crowded streets. Buildings became fewer. Trees became more common. The air turned cooler. When the bus dropped him near a quiet road, Ravi walked the rest of the way. The road curved upward, surrounded by thick bushes and tall trees. Birds made sharp calls. The wind moved through leaves like quiet whispers. After 15 minutes, he saw a gate. It was tall and made of iron, but rust covered it like old wounds. A faded sign hung on one side. The letters were almost gone, but Ravi could still read part of the name. Kumar Mansion. Ravi stared at it. The gate was locked with a chain. He found a key in the envelope the lawyer gave him. It looked old and heavy. He pushed it into the lock. For a moment, it did not move. Then it turned with a rough sound. The chain fell. Ravi pushed the gate open. It groaned loudly, like it had not been opened in years. Inside was a large garden, but it was wild. Tall grass reached his knees. Vines climbed up broken statues. A path of stone was hidden under leaves. Far ahead stood the mansion. It was big. Bigger than Ravi imagined. It had tall pillars and wide steps. But time had not been kind. Paint was peeling. Some windows were broken. Part of the roof looked uneven. A tree branch rested against one corner like it had fallen during a storm and never moved again. Ravi walked slowly, his shoes pressing into soft ground. He felt both nervous and curious. The mansion looked like a sleeping giant, injured but still powerful. He reached the front steps. The wooden door was huge. Dust covered the handles. Ravi pulled out another key. It turned easily. The door opened with a deep creak. Inside, the air smelled old, like wood, dust, and closed rooms. Light entered through broken windows, drawing bright lines on the floor. Ravi stepped into a large hall. A chandelier hung from the ceiling, dull and covered in dust. Old curtains lay half-torn near the windows. Furniture stood covered with cloth sheets, as if someone left in a hurry and planned to return. Ravi walked forward. His footsteps echoed. He noticed something strange. The place looked abandoned, but it did not feel fully destroyed. Some parts were damaged, yes. But the structure still felt strong. The walls were thick. The floor under his feet did not crack. The hall was dirty, but it was not collapsing. Ravi moved closer to a framed portrait on the wall. It showed a younger Harish, standing in a suit, looking serious. His eyes in the portrait looked sharp, almost like he was watching. Ravi whispered, "Why did you leave this to me?" No answer came, only the sound of wind outside. Ravi walked deeper into the mansion, moving from room to room. Each room had old items. Bookshelves filled with dusty books. A dining table with covered chairs. A study room with a desk and locked drawers. In the back, he found a small room with cleaning supplies and an old lantern. He picked up the lantern and checked it. It still had some oil left. He lit it carefully using a match. The warm light made the shadows dance on the walls. He returned to the hall and looked around again. His eyes paused on the floor near the center. A rug lay there, half rolled, covered in dust. Ravi lifted one corner and froze. The wooden floor under it had scratches, like something heavy had been dragged across many times. And near one edge, he saw something else. A small metal ring attached to a wooden panel. Ravi's heart beat faster. He knelt down and touched the ring. It was cold. He pulled it gently. The panel did not open, but it moved slightly. Ravi stared at it, his breath slow. The laughter from the lawyer's office returned in his mind, but it sounded different now. The mansion was not just a ruined building. It felt like a locked box. Ravi held the ring again and pulled harder. The panel lifted by a small gap. A cool draft rose from below, carrying a dry, hidden smell, like a room that had not seen sunlight for a very long time. Ravi leaned forward, lantern in hand, and looked into the dark space beneath. He could not see the bottom. He could only see stairs leading down. And he could feel one clear truth. Something was waiting down there. The engine room felt warm and quiet as Ravi stepped inside. The smell of oil, metal, and fuel mixed together in the small space. Light came from a single lamp above, casting soft shadows on pipes and wires. The engine stood in the center like a silent animal, strong but resting. Ravi did not rush. Outside, Linda tapped her foot on the deck. Her arms stayed crossed. She looked confident, but inside she felt unsure. Part of her hoped Ravi would fail quickly so she could prove herself right. Another part of her quietly wished he would succeed so the problem would finally disappear. The engineers stood a little distance away. Some whispered to each other. "What is he doing?" one asked. "He is not even using tools," another said. "He looks too calm," a third replied. Inside the engine room, Ravi placed his hand gently on the metal surface. It felt slightly warm. That told him something important. He leaned closer and listened carefully. The engine was silent, but not fully dead. There was a faint tension in the air, like something was ready to move but could not. Ravi closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered his early years. He had grown up in a small village where machines were rare and expensive. When something broke, there was no money to replace it. People fixed things because they had no other choice. Ravi learned from watching older men repair water pumps, farming tools, and small motors. They did not have big education or fancy tools. They had patience. They taught him one thing clearly. A machine always gives signs before it fails. Ravi opened his eyes and began checking slowly. He did not look at everything at once. He focused on one section at a time. He traced a fuel line with his fingers. He checked a connection near the side. Everything looked fine. Then he noticed something small. A cable near the back was slightly out of position. Not broken. Not burned. Just not sitting the way it should. It was the kind of thing easy to miss if someone was rushing or looking only at screens. Ravi smiled faintly. He took a small cloth from his pocket and wiped the area clean. The cable had oil dust around it, hiding the problem. He gently adjusted it and pressed it into place. Then he tightened a small connector by hand. That was all. Ravi stepped back and looked at the engine again. Everything felt balanced now. The tension he had sensed before was gone. He walked out of the engine room and looked toward Linda. "You can try starting it now," he said calmly. Linda blinked. "That is it?" Ravi nodded. "Yes." Linda laughed shortly. "You did not even use a tool." "I did not need one," Ravi replied. Linda waved to her assistant. "Start it," she said, her voice carrying doubt and challenge at the same time. The assistant pressed the start button. For a second, nothing happened. Linda's lips tightened, ready to speak. Then the engine started. Not slowly. Not weakly. It came alive with a smooth, steady sound. The whole boat vibrated gently, the way it was meant to. The sound was clean and strong. People gasped. Some engineers stepped closer in disbelief. One of them said softly, "That is not possible." Mina clapped her hands without thinking. She quickly stopped and looked around, but her eyes shone with pride. Linda froze where she stood. The engine continued running perfectly. She walked closer to the engine room door, staring inside as if the engine might stop again. But it did not. She turned to Ravi. "What did you do?" Ravi answered simply, "I fixed a loose connection." The engineers looked at each other. One of them frowned. "We checked all the connections." Ravi nodded respectfully. "You checked them quickly. I listened first." Silence spread across the dock. Linda felt heat rise to her face. Not anger this time, but something else. Shock. Confusion. Embarrassment. 30 engineers. Hours of work. Expensive tools. And this man had solved it in minutes. She cleared her throat. "You are saying all this trouble was caused by one small thing?" Ravi nodded again. "Yes." One engineer stepped forward. "Why did the system not show an error?" Ravi looked at him. "Some problems do not appear on screens. They appear in sound and behavior." The engineer slowly stepped back, thinking. Linda felt everyone watching her now. The dock workers. The engineers. Even her own assistant. For the first time in a long time, Linda did not know what to say immediately. She looked at Ravi again, really looked at him. His clothes were simple. His hands were rough. But his eyes were calm and clear. "How did you know?" she asked, quieter than before. Ravi answered honestly. "I have seen similar problems many times. Machines often fail because of small neglect. Big knowledge is important, but attention is more important." Linda swallowed. Her pride wanted to fight back. But her mind knew the truth. The boat was fixed. The problem was solved. She took a deep breath. "How much do I owe you?" she asked. Ravi did not answer right away. He looked toward Mina, standing patiently on the dock. "I only ask for enough to cover food and school needs for my daughter this week," he said. The dock went silent again. Linda stared at him. She had expected a number. A large one, maybe spoken with confidence. Instead, she heard something simple. She felt something uncomfortable inside her chest. Guilt. She pulled out her phone and signaled her assistant. "Pay him," she said. "Pay him well." The assistant nodded quickly. Ravi shook his head slightly. "Only what I asked for is fine." Linda looked at him sharply. "Do not refuse," she said, then paused. Her voice softened. "You earned it." Ravi nodded politely and accepted. The engineers began packing their remaining tools. Some looked embarrassed. Some looked thoughtful. One of them approached Ravi. "You taught us something today," the engineer said quietly. Ravi smiled gently. "Learning never ends." Linda watched this exchange closely. Something inside her shifted. She was used to people apologizing to her, thanking her, praising her. She was not used to learning from someone she had dismissed. She stepped closer to Ravi. "I spoke harshly earlier," she said. The words felt heavy in her mouth. "I judged you without knowing your skill." Ravi bowed his head slightly. "It happens," he replied. Linda looked at Meena. "Is she your daughter?" "Yes," Ravi said. "Her name is Meena." Meena smiled shyly. Linda nodded slowly. "She should be proud." Meena looked up at her father, her smile growing. The engine continued to run smoothly in the background, steady and reliable. Linda turned and looked at her boat, then at the harbor around her. She noticed the workers, the old fishing boats, the simple tools. Things she had ignored before now felt clearer. She had believed money solved everything. That belief cracked. As Linda prepared to leave, she paused one last time. "If I need help again," she said, "can I contact you?" Ravi nodded. "If I am available." Linda stepped onto her boat, her posture less sharp than before. The assistants followed quietly. As the boat pulled away from the dock, the water moved gently around it, shining under the sun. Meena walked up to her father and held his hand. "You did great," she said. Ravi smiled. "You did too. You stayed patient." The dock slowly returned to its normal rhythm. People went back to work. The engineers left, carrying more thoughts than tools. But the lesson stayed. That day, many people learned that intelligence does not always arrive in expensive clothes, loud voices, or big teams. Sometimes, it arrives quietly, listens carefully, and fixes what others overlook. Ravi knew the truth could not stay hidden forever. Papers were moving. Accounts were being confirmed. Legal steps were almost complete. Silence had protected him so far, but now clarity was needed. He decided the right way was not loud or dramatic. It would be calm and honest, just like he lived his life. Ravi asked Advocate Sen to arrange a final family meeting. The message went out to everyone. The same relatives who once laughed now felt curious. Some felt confident. Some felt nervous. None of them imagined what was coming. The meeting was held in a clean conference room near the city center. The table was long. Bottles of water were placed neatly. The air felt serious. Ravi arrived early with Meena. He wore a simple shirt and clean shoes. Nothing about him looked different from before. That was the part people always failed to understand. Wealth had not entered his heart. One by one, the relatives arrived. Ajay came first, still confident. Seema followed, joking loudly. Nisha walked in quietly, her face careful this time. They greeted Ravi with forced smiles. "So," Seema said, sitting back in his chair, "did you finally decide what to do with that house?" Ravi nodded politely. "Yes." Ajay leaned forward. "Selling it." Ravi looked at Advocate Sen instead of answering. The lawyer opened a folder and placed several documents on the table. "I will explain," Advocate Sen said calmly. "Please listen carefully." The room went quiet. "These documents confirm ownership of several land properties," the lawyer continued. "These lands were purchased legally many years ago and are now extremely valuable. Ajay frowned. What land? Seema laughed nervously. This has nothing to do with the mansion, right? Advocate Sen kept his tone steady. These assets are connected to the mansion. They were hidden and protected there. Nisha's phone slipped slightly in her hand. The lawyer continued placing documents on the table. There are also shares in multiple companies, purchased early and held long-term. Their value has increased greatly. Ajay's face lost color. Seema sat up straight. How much are we talking about? Advocate Sen paused for a moment. Then he said clearly, the total value exceeds $200 million. Silence filled the room. No one laughed. No one spoke. The number sat heavy in the air, impossible to ignore. Ajay's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Seema stared at Ravi as if seeing him for the first time. Nisha whispered, that is not possible. Advocate Sen looked at her calmly. It is verified. All legal steps are complete. Mr. Ravi is the sole heir. The relatives turned toward Ravi. Seema cleared his throat. Ravi, you never told us. Ravi replied softly, you never asked. Ajay leaned back slowly. We thought it was just a ruined building. Ravi nodded. You looked at the walls. You did not look deeper. No anger was in his voice. No pride either. Just truth. Nisha lowered her eyes. We laughed. Ravi met her gaze. Yes. The room stayed quiet. After a moment, Seema tried to smile. Well, family is family. We should talk about sharing. Ravi shook his head gently. My uncle made his choice. I will respect it. Ajay's voice tightened. We are blood. Ravi replied calmly, blood does not decide character. Actions do. No one argued after that. The meeting ended quickly. The relatives left without jokes, without laughter, without confidence. They walked out with heavy steps, carrying a lesson they never expected to learn. Ravi and Meena stayed behind for a moment. Meena squeezed his hand. You were strong. Ravi exhaled. I was honest. Life changed quietly after that. The mansion was repaired, but Ravi refused luxury. He fixed the roof, replaced broken windows, and cleaned the halls. He kept the old structure strong and simple. He did not turn it into a palace. He turned it into a place of purpose. One wing of the mansion became a learning center. Children from nearby areas came there every afternoon. They studied, read books, and asked questions. Ravi often sat with them, listening more than speaking. Another part of the property became a training space for workers. Ravi remembered his own tired hands and aching back. He made sure people were treated with respect. He invested carefully. He asked questions. He learned. He did not rush. Money grew, but it did not control him. Meena helped manage the learning center. She smiled more often now. Not because of wealth, but because worry no longer followed her everywhere. Their children grew up without fear. They still learned the value of effort. Ravi made sure of that. He wanted them strong, not spoiled. The relatives tried to reconnect later. Some apologized. Some acted polite. Some hoped for favors. Ravi treated them kindly but firmly. He helped when help was fair. He said no when requests were driven by greed. Over time, people in the city started talking. They spoke about a man who inherited a ruined mansion and turned it into something meaningful. They spoke about quiet generosity. They spoke about humility. Ravi never corrected the stories. He never added to them. One evening, Ravi stood alone in the mansion hall. The chandelier now shone softly. Clean air moved through open windows. The house no longer felt hidden. Ravi looked at the floor where the secret room lay beneath. Thank you, he said quietly, not knowing if he spoke to his uncle or to life itself. He did not feel victorious. He felt balanced. Far away, the laughter that once followed him had faded. In its place stood respect, earned not by money, but by character. And the ruined mansion that once made people laugh became a reminder that true value often hides behind silence, waiting for the right hands to uncover it.